It's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I must ask the honourable gentleman to withdraw the term that I think he used. I think I heard the term pipsqueak.
They remind me of my two young boys squabbling at bath time.
Hello and welcome to the Sean and Simon Show. This is the third episode of Fill Me In. I'm Simon.
And I'm Sean. Hey.
Hey. So we've got a good show for you today, this week even. We've got the topical debate as suggested by, who was it that suggested it, Sean?
Well, it was a kind of group effort from the Collaborates, I guess.
The Collaborates, we should explain, are a group of self-published authors working to put the work out there. And,
you know, the word of the self-published author to help other authors and, you know, to just get that kind of message out there.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd do what we can.
Yeah,
for the cause.
Yeah, we'll discuss self-published authors, and then we've got My Opinion Is, we've got that coming up, and we've got a TV review today instead of a film review, so you've got that to look forward to. So, shall we get going with the debate?
Yep. Right, so what's the kind of message that we're talking about here?
Well,
the general view.
There seems to be a lot of snobbery sometimes surrounding self-published authors. People seem to view self-published authors quite often as people who can't get published by a big machine. And we just wanted to put it out there, really, to suggest that that's not always the case. Sometimes people do elect to self-publish their books.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people don't even look for that to get published. That's not what it's about.
No, of course not.
It's about writing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is kind of your topic. This isn't, because you're the expert in this. Whilst I know the Collaborates on a good level, you know, you're in the know-how on this.
In some ways, I don't know the ins and outs of the self-publishing industry, but
but you know what makes a good book.
Well, I suppose so.
Being the literature student,
I guess.
it's a tough one to get out of. You're not going to get out of it. It's fact, mate. This is your baby, right? So,
all right.
So why don't you try and, you know, propose to me? Say, if I was being snobby about self-published authors, what would you say to me?
Well, I suppose my first point is, essentially, you know, you've got great poets and authors in history who are self-published. William Blake, one of the great romantic poets and one of my absolute favourites, he was self-published, kind of. It's a bit more complicated than that, but essentially...
I suppose they didn't have the same marketing powerhouses as they do nowadays.
Well, they did to a certain degree. I mean, in the late 1700s, you had people, publishers, like a guy called Joseph Johnson, who published a lot of the great romantics. Like,
I think I know someone called Joseph.
It's weird. He published guys like, well, people like... Mary Wollstonecraft, for example, Mary Shelley's mum, and not Percy B. Shelley, I've forgotten his name. William Godwin, that's the one.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nailed that.
Made a fool of myself there.
Well, not really. I'm here being silent. It makes me look even worse.
Essentially, I'm throwing myself out a bit too much here, but my point is, you get people like William Blake who struggled to get himself published, and, you know, history has recorded him as a great author.
Yeah.
So just because you don't get published by a big machine doesn't mean you're not a great author.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
You've swayed me.
I swayed you?
No longer am I the snob. But, I mean...
Were you the snob before?
No, I wasn't. The thing that I find is, it's not so much the debate of whether you're a good author or you're not a good author.
Yeah.
What I find great about self-publishing is the complete control over their own work. You know, they can put what they want in there.
Yeah. And,
you know, you look at some of the greatest artworks of all time. They have been unregulated and controlled. I mean, you don't see people doing the same to fine art or photography.
No.
Especially to the kind of degree that they are doing here. Some of the greatest art forms of our century aren't regulated, so why does the published book world need to be regulated to that degree?
Well, I guess a lot of it is to do with consumerism. One of the things that we're looking at on my course at the minute is sort of the consumerism surrounding the publishing world today.
Yeah.
And essentially, you know, it's all about, you know, the books that cause the greatest controversy or the books that appeal to the widest audience.
Yeah.
They're the ones that obviously get published, which of course, you know, it's a market out there, and that's the thing. The literary world has become much more of a marketplace than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And you get works like Twilight, and that is by no means great literature, but it sells.
Yeah. But on the other hand, the fact that with this consumer market and with tools like the internet, it also enables authors to publicise their own work themselves without having to rely on the networking and the marketing capabilities of these publishing powerhouses.
Yeah, and if anything, it's actually kind of more impressive that these authors have been able to do it off their own back.
Yeah, complete respect. Well, I've got a nice little quote from Diana Murdoch, who herself is an author, a member of the Collaborates, and she said, she says that I would say one of the benefits of self-publishing is the complete control over the project, from content to cover design to pricing, which I think sums up my argument in this respect, because it allows, from the author's point of view, it allows them to do it how they want. And in a way, when you consider literature as a work of art, couldn't you say that perhaps the art in this is also marketing it?
Yeah, I mean, well,
marketing a book that it still holds true to what you want to write about, but also you're marketing that. And that in itself, it's not just the book that's the art, it's the entire project.
Well, I wouldn't say marketing is an art form, but it's an achievement to be proud of.
Some say it is.
Well, I suppose you get people like Alistair Campbell.
Precisely, yeah. Or you could even compare that to something like, Damien Hirst or whatever, who a lot of people say, well, anyone could have done that.
Yeah.
But no one has done that yet. He was the first, and then he marketed it, and he got away with it. It's not so much the art, it's being able to market it and convince people this is art.
Well, that's half of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, from a reader's perspective as well, I think it's quite good from a reader's perspective. You look at something that I know is going to loosely appeal to me, something like Twilight, because it's been tested, market tested, or I can take a risk and I can read something and think this really appeals to me.
Yeah.
And they're much cheaper.
That's true. Yeah. I suppose you do get the author's purist intention as well. But then saying that there are examples in recent history of authors like Stephen King, who I think was much better when he was more regulated by the publishing body. But now he's got more artistic freedom. His books are too long. They're not as successful or as compelling reads, I don't think.
But is that down to, as you're saying, regulation, or is that down to arrogance?
Because, well, that's probably part of that.
Well, no, you've got to remember that a lot of authors, self-published authors, have fan bases and have significant others or families that do proofread their stuff and do give honest opinions and say, this is too long, you've gone wrong here. And it's their own, they've got their own process of editing, and they've got their own process of plot direction and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for someone like Stephen King, who he knows he's one of them greats.
Yeah.
What if someone turns around to him and says, oh, this is too long? He's just going to say, well, my sales say otherwise, mate.
Yeah, I think you've got me there, actually.
I think there's a certain arrogance about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that certain regulation doesn't help. I'm not totally against that, but I just think that the publishers put too much pressure and change it too much. So it looks to appeal to the masses. I mean, I've got a little quote from Elizabeth Marshall here. I don't think there has been a more exciting time for readers than now, with so many authors free to publish without restrictions and restraint.
Yeah, I like that quote, and I think it says a lot about how the literary marketplace is evolving.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how other authors, I think, will respond to wider forms of social networking and the increasing capabilities provided through the internet.
Well, there are cases of authors who have been published.
Well, yeah.
Who have gone to self-publishing.
Yeah.
Because they want more control. I mean, I haven't got any off the top of my head, but I know there are some. For a fact. It's statistical. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's how I feel with the situation. I very much support the self-published author. And even if, right, the thing that really appeals to me is, even if you read a book, and it doesn't matter whether it's published or self-published, it doesn't matter. You read the book and it doesn't agree with you, or you don't like it, doesn't necessarily make a bad book. You read a book, it's got bad grammar, it's got spelling mistakes, okay, whatever. That could have been on purpose.
Not always.
Not always, no, I'm not saying every case, but there could be.
Oh, yeah,
That's a work of art. You can't argue with art.
Well, yeah, look at Trainspotting, for example. That's not self-published, but it's less of a sort of standard form. It's all, you see a Glaswegian dialect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've covered that topic quite
extensive.
Well.
Proud of that.
Quite comprehensive, I think.
And I actually made it sound like I know a little bit about it.
Well, you do.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. I dabble. So this week's My Opinion is...
Yeah, this is something I feel quite strongly about, and we've discussed it before, actually.
This is a big thing between us two, isn't it?
Yeah.
We talk about this often.
And my opinion is that Stephen Fry does not deserve the reputation he has, or as one of the cleverest men in the country.
So you think he's overrated?
I think he is overrated, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is an incredibly intelligent guy, but he seems to present himself as an authority on everything.
Yeah, I see what you mean there.
And in a year and a half's time, I'm going to be just as qualified as he is.
Whoa. Now,
when you think of it in those terms, does he really deserve his reputation as this sort of, genius, I suppose? Because that term's bandied about so much surrounding Stephen Fry.
Well, when I first came to university and met you, I was very much under the impression, like most people are, that Stephen Fry is this treasure of Britain.
Well, he is, I think.
He's this golden icon.
Yeah.
That you can look up to intellectually and think, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then you put this argument across, and we had a bit of a tiff about it. I can't remember where we were going. We were around the arena, weren't we?
Possibly, I don't know.
But I remember we had this massive row about it. And I totally disagreed with you, and I think I've been brainwashed. He's done a good job of brainwashing people.
I think, to be fair to him, he's done a good job of making intelligence cool.
Do I dislike him more than you now?
I think you do. You got really angry watching QI when I came round the other day.
Yeah, it winds me up because he's pointed out, this guy here has pointed out to me that watching QI, he's just reading it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this stuff, and he says it as if he knows it. Now, I've always had a bit of a problem with QI. I mean, I find it entertaining, but QI to me, for any of you American listeners, QI is a TV show.
It's kind of like a TV panel show dealing with issues of general knowledge. Each episode has a different
No, it's
theme.
general ignorance, isn't it?
Well, the general ignorance is around.
It
basically deals with quite interesting facts. That's what QI stands for, quite interesting.
But the bottom line of it is, it's always the opposite of what you think.
Yeah.
So it's really annoying. It's not because, we don't know this stuff. It's because it's nitpicky.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any specific examples, but...
There was one that really wound me up, where he asked, what is the colour of Frankenstein's monster? And Alan, what's he called?
Davis.
Alan Davies, yeah. He said that he gave the answer green, as most people think is green. And Stephen Fry responds saying, "No, Alan, Frankenstein's monster is yellow." And the thing is, Frankenstein's monster is yellow in the book, but the films are a cultural phenomenon in their own right, and you can't ignore that.
Yeah.
And I know there's an element of performance in it, but
they're green.
Pompousness.
They're green and yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not either one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It is exactly just things like that. Oh, it's just things that everybody knows, but they put a slight different twist on it, and it makes you feel stupid.
Yeah.
Basically. And Stephen Fry comes across as he knows all this stuff, and everyone else is stupid.
Well, yeah,
That's my run over.
like I say, there's an element of performance into it, but it is pompous.
It is very pompous, yeah. No, you're right. You swayed me through not your argument,
yeah,
but through actually, you didn't need to argue it. All you needed to say to me was those words, and I saw it for myself.
So this week, my opinion is final, I guess. I mean, I know I've been working on it for a while. I've been working it from many angles for a long time, but I'm quite proud of that victory.
Yeah, you have swayed me. I definitely think Stephen Fry is overrated.
But he is a very talented comic actor.
Well, yeah, we've got to say that. We don't want to be harsh to the guy.
No. And I do want to say that he is an intelligent chap, but he's not an authority on everything.
And what were you saying yesterday about the words thing?
Yeah, we were watching The History Boys, because we're going to review that for our radio show on Newcastle Student Radio.
Thursdays, 12 till 1:30. Just saying. The link can be found on Facebook.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I
was rudely interrupted with that shameless plug.
Promoting the show.
Yeah, one of the main characters, Hector, said what he wanted his pupils to do. He didn't want them to become middle-aged men who professed their love of words and literature. And that's something that I absolutely agree with him on, and that's something that I think Stephen Fry embodies. He says he's got this great love of words and literature, and it's pompous and meaningless, actually.
Yeah.
I think to say you love literature is actually quite a stupid statement to make. Right. I wouldn't say I love literature. I love some literature.
Yeah.
But there are pieces considered literary, which I hate.
There's anything can be literature, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the debate surrounding, what is literature.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Hector also did in the film. We're going into another review here, but essentially he showed, in addition to all these great literary masterpieces, he showed his pupils things like the Carry On films.
Yeah.
And he said that was important to kind of like deflate people's sort of pompous opinions surrounding these works of art. And maybe I think Stephen Fry embodies that kind of pompousness that needs to be sort of punctured.
I completely agree. I was a bit confused about your passion for the hatred of words and, or people saying they love words.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not one that would profess to love words as this concept, but I know what you're saying.
It is a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, words as a concept. I mean, they're things. I mean, I don't know, it's just silly. It is.
So our review this week.
Yeah.
It's a special review. It's on a TV show.
One of our absolute favourites.
We both know and love.
A bit too well, I think.
Yeah. We live.
The amount of times we sat in your room and just talked the night away, talking about House. So yeah, I've just kind of ruined it there. We're reviewing House Season 7.
Season 7 of House. So, bit of backstory.
Yeah.
We love House, right? Seasons 1 to 6. Couldn't get enough of it.
No, and I got you Season 7 for Christmas last year.
Which I appreciate.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And we weren't that impressed with it, really, were we?
No. The series as a whole was quite disappointing, I think.
I think so. I mean, there were elements of it that I really liked.
Oh yeah, there were, like everything though. I mean, we say we disliked it. We disliked it as a whole.
Yeah.
But there were things that were alright within it that were, weren't that bad. That brought it back. Elements of, it was House. It was the things that made it House, which made it good.
Yeah.
What's your main feelings about it?
My main feeling is that it became too much about the relationship between House and Cuddy. That was the big story arc.
You see, but that's been building up. They needed to do a series dedicated to that.
It has, but I think they kind of backed themselves into a corner with it because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they messed it up. I found it to be very rushed.
Yeah.
Very sloppy writing. The plots of the episodes were so unrealistic. I mean, this is House. Yeah. Of course it's unrealistic. But what I've always found so fascinating with House is that their perception and their demonstration of human contact
Yeah.
There's always been a big element, you know, everybody lies, all this psychology behind it. It's been very important. And then they go and throw it away with something as ridiculous as Cuddy's relationship with House.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I mean, it's dealt with some great philosophical interests, and I think that's when House is at its best.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it became a bit too trivial.
And it was like watching a soap.
Yeah. 1
minute Cuddy loved House, the next she didn't. Or
for very little reason.
Very, very stupid reasons as well. It really wound me up, and it's just all this build-up to just nothing come of it. And then, I don't want to ruin the last episode, but the last episode was appalling. When you consider such, season finales as season 5, and it was the best television I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible.
Season 4's finale broke my heart.
Season 5 was my favourite. But when you consider season 7, it's just, it's insignificant in comparison.
Although you haven't been watching season 8.
Not yet, no.
I think it has improved on season 7. I think they've probably learned from their mistakes. And it's gone back to House basic, I suppose. It's dealing with, important issues again.
It wasn't bad enough to stop me watching.
No.
But it definitely made me lose a bit of faith in the writers. I've always had a great deal of respect for the writers. And I've always thought, these guys know what they're doing. These guys are good. It's a good show. And it's got a good message. But that really let me down, I felt.
Well, I think it's obvious that the show's running out of steam.
Yeah.
And I think season 8 is a good point to end it on.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And that also gives us a nice point to end the podcast.
We kind of run out of steam on this week's episode.
So hope you've enjoyed this episode of Fill Me In. If you've got more suggestions for the topical debate, please get in touch.
We really, really appreciate your all contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get in touch. We don't bite.
No. We can't reach you.
But yeah, it would be fantastic if you could get in touch and let us know what you think, any feedback.
Yeah.
As well. Get liking us on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook is where, it all goes on. The Twitter handle is Sean and Simon. But you can always email as well, seanandsimonshow@hotmail.co.uk.
Yeah.
And don't forget to listen to us on nsrlive.co.uk. Thursdays.
Is it nsrlive.co.uk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you type that in, it changes to NUSU /.
Okay.
But it's easy to say NSR Live.
Right. Yeah.
We're on at 12 till 1:30.
If not, we'll be putting recordings of the show on YouTube anyway.
Yes. Yeah, we will.
So give them a listen
when I get around to it.
Give them a listen and give Squeezebox a listen as well.
Yep. This week's Squeezebox should be good.
I think so.
Yeah. So, cheers for listening, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Take care. Love you.
Love you.
It's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I must ask the honourable gentleman to withdraw the term that I think he used. I think I heard the term pipsqueak.
They remind me of my 2 young boys squabbling at bath time.